Good morning. We are in Amoud yomi of Masechet Pessachim. We are today in which daf? We are in daf Pei Gimel Amoud Aleph at the bottom of the page. If we just review what we said on our Mishnah, the Mishnah speaks about burning leftovers of the Korban Pesach. Atzamot v'agidin v'anotar yisrefu b'shisha asar. Our Mishnah says on Pei Gimel that you have, of course, the bones of the Korban Pesach. You have the veins of the Korban Pesach. And you have the leftover meat of the Korban Pesach. You need to burn them not on the Pesach itself. Don't forget that these were brought and these were sacrificed on the 14th of Nisan. You will be burning them on the 16th of Nisan, unless the 16th then falls out to be on Shabbos. And that would mean that the 14th was on Thursday, Pesach was on Friday, Shabbat is the day after Pesach, then you will burn them on the Sunday on the Yud Zayin. So what are we speaking now? That you got to burn the bones, you got to burn the veins, and you got to burn the leftovers. In our Gemara, we said yesterday that Rabbi Yitzchak says that bones that have inside of it meat become a basis, a basis to the meat, and becomes like notar. And I'll explain. Notar is meat that is now off limits. Once it passed the morning of Pesach, the night of Pesach, you got to eat it. Once it comes the morning hours, so that is off limits. That's called notar. You got to burn it. Not only that, but it actually makes you tameh. Meat that is notar makes a person tameh. What about the bone? That inside the bone there's what's called namuan, which is called marrow. There's marrow inside the bone. What about that marrow? Is that meat? Definitely that's meat. The question is, what about the bone itself? Don't forget another halakha that in general you cannot break the bones of Pesach.
Why is it meat? It's closer to fat than it is to meat.
Well, it's part of it's edible, it's fat, it's meat and fat. Basically, it's things you could eat. Oh. It's a fatty meat that you're allowed to eat, and it's basically part of the Korban Pesach. Another halakha to know is that you're allowed to break bones of regular korbanot to get out the meat. So when you had a shlamim or so whatever it is, and you're allowed to get them, you can break the bone and get the meat outside. The Korban Pesach, you're not allowed to break it. The question is, are you not allowed to break it while it is a Korban Pesach? But when the time expires and it's not anymore Korban Pesach the next morning, are you allowed to break it? That's a machloket. One opinion says, Rabbi Yaakov, you can never break it, not before and not after. And according to Rabbi Shimon, you can only break it during Pesach itself. So now our question is, what happens with the bones after Pesach?
Break it after Pesach.
According to Rabbi Shimon, after Pesach, after the 14th, it's not a Korban Pesach anymore. Now you can break the bone. You can break the bone on Pesach. By the way, what's the reason you cannot break the bone?
After Pesach.
You cannot eat it, but the thing is, can you break it to get the meat out to burn it? Because the bones you don't necessarily have to burn. You have to burn things that are meat.
He's going to keep the whole thing until after Pesach?
We're talking about the next day. After Pesach means the day after the first Korban Pesach. There's the 14th where you're bringing the Korban Pesach. Yeah. There's the 15th at night where you're eating it. The 15th day, it's already notar. Do you burn it at that day? You don't burn it that day. We're going to speak about why. You burn it the next day. When I burn it, I'm allowed to break the bones. I gotta burn that. I gotta burn that meat. It's notar. Am I allowed to break the bone to get the meat out? Rabbi Yaakov says no. You can't break the bone.
In order to burn it.
Yes, and according to Rabbi Shimon, you're allowed to break the bones. You're allowed to break the bones to get the meat out.
But you cannot eat the meat.
You're not getting it. You have to burn it. You have a mitzvah to burn the leftover meats.
Burn the whole thing. Why do you have to burn?
Do I have to burn the bones? It's an extra firewood. It's bal tashchit. Why would I need to? You know how much wood you're gonna have to use to burn the bones? It's gonna be a lot of wood. It's a lot of wood.
By breaking it.
Get rid of it. And in 1 second you burn it with a little few twigs. Otherwise, they're gonna put out your logs of wood and logs and logs and logs of wood, which is a lot of work. And who's gonna cut them? Who's gonna cut them? You're gonna cut them. The Kohen has to cut them. Let's give a little bit of break to the Kohen. Anyways, Rabbi Yitzchak says another independent halakha. Whenever notar of Korban Pesach or a regular Korbanot, whenever Korbanot, the meat inside the bone changes the bone into the status of the meat, and it needs to be burnt, and it's mitameh. All these halachot. We discussed all this yesterday. We're going to the bottom, near the bottom of the page, and we says meitive. So we're on the small line still. 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth to last small lines on Pei Gimel. Meitive. Kon atzamot hakedoshim hakodshim. And tonin srefa. So here the Braita says, all the bones of any other korban don't need to be burnt. Chutz me'atzmot Pesach. The only one that needs to be burnt is the bones of Korban Pesach. Mipnei hatakala. And the reason is what's called a takala, a mistake that could happen. so you can get into big problems. So you got to burn the bones as well. What exactly is the takala over here? Takala is we don't want you to get into trouble to make a takala. Hane atzamot echidami. What is the atzamot that we're talking about? What are inside these bones? Echidami. Inema delayed bil moach. If there's no meat inside of it, lama leu srifa. Why do you need to burn them? The korban pesach. And apshita did be moach. Obviously, the bones don't need to be burned on their own. Bone only needs to be burned is the notar. So it must be that there's meat inside the bones. Bisalka datcha shimush notar miltahi atzmot kodshim amai and teonin srifa. So you see over here. That one you have to burn and one you don't have to burn. So what is the halakha? The ones of the now you don't need to burn the ones of the regular korbanot, but you need the ones that korban pesach. Why not? What is the reasoning over here? There's meat inside. It must be that those ones you can break. That's what we're assuming now. The kochim you can break them, you can take it out. But we see from here at least that the basis, what's holding the meat of the regular korban doesn't become like the korban. That's why you're allowed to break it, take the meat out and burn it. And you don't need to burn the bones because the bones are nothing. They're not an automatic part of the korban. But now when the korban pesach, we understand. The korban pesach, you can't break the bone. And that's why you got to burn the whole thing because you can't break. But it has nothing to do with the bone. Again, we want to see, does the bone become like the meat? And what's the nafkamina? What is the difference in that? The difference is as follows. When you touch notar, you become tameh. You're now doing your korban pesach on the 14th of Nisan. You ate on the 15th of Nisan. You left over a bunch of meat. Tomorrow you got to go burn that. You know what happens to you when you touch that? You become tameh. You got to go in mikveh. You got to go through the whole process. Why do you become tameh? The Rabbanan. Why did the Rabbanan do that to you? Because the Rabbanan don't want you to start to be lazy and not eat the korbanot. It's no big deal, I'm not so hungry. It's a mitzvah to eat it. You're not supposed to leave everything over. So we make you become tameh. Now the bones, does that make you tameh or does not make you tameh? According to Rabbi Yitzchak, it becomes one. It is a vessel to hold the meat. It becomes part of the meat. That's what Rabbi Yitzchak says. Chachamim say, not true. Here we seem to have a kushi on that, because we have a braita. You have two types of bones. One of a regular korban, one of a korban pesach. This one needs to go in the fire. This doesn't need to go in the fire. Well, 1 second. Is there meat inside of them? Obviously there's meat inside. Because if there's no meat inside here and here, so why would they need to go in the fire? It must be there's meat. So what is our assumption now? Why this one doesn't make you tameh? Because you break the bone, you take out the meat, you burn the meat. Easy shmizi. Here on this bone, you can't break the bone. According to this opinion, you can't break the bone, and therefore you have no choice but to burn the whole thing. But you see that the reason is not that it becomes a basis, because if it would become a basis, then even this one of the regular korban should become a basis. You'd need to throw it in the fire. You wouldn't allow to break it and throw it out.
So this one doesn't make you tameh.
This one doesn't. It's also not a basis. Doesn't make you come tameh. And the only reason why you have to burn it is because you're not allowed to break it, according to Rabbi Yaakov. That's what we're assuming now, and this will be a kushya on Rabbi Yitzchak.
But by that logic, it's more probably that you're going to make a mistake, because if this one you can burn, the Kodashim, you're not burning, and Pesach, only Pesach you have to burn, that's a bit of room for mistake, because usually when you do a law as a standard law, this is to avoid any mistakes and confusions.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but according to the way we'll explain it now, this one you're allowed to break it, take it out. This one you have to break it. Here you know you're allowed to break it. Here you're not allowed to break it. You want to say that make this one also, don't break this one because you might break this one? For whatever reason, Chabim felt we didn't need to put a gzera over here.
But can't we just wait until it's pasul and then we break it?
That's exactly what Rabbi Yaakov says.
Yeah.
Rabbi Yaakov says you're never allowed to break it. That's what we said yesterday. You're never allowed to break the burning korban. Rabbi Shimon says yes. Once it's possible, you're allowed to break it.
Right.
And the Gemara says that's not the pshat over here. So we thought to have a kusha, we don't have a kusha. Why? The Gemara says no, that's not the kusha. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, acha b'maiskinan kigon shematzaan chalutzin. We found a pile of bones. Here's regular korbanot, here's korban pesach. On the top, they're broken, and the meat is taken out. Here, broken, and the meat is taken out. קודשים דאין בהם שום שבירת עצם, כמה דנהבו נותר חליצנו, ולא הווה שימוש נותר, ולא באי שריפה. Here what we're talking about, you found the top ones that are broken. Now what's the problem? What do we assume? When did the guy break this? He's allowed to break it when he's eating it and when he's not eating it. Probably he broke it before. How would Rabbi Yitzchak explain this? Probably he broke it before when it was allowed to eat it, because he's allowed to eat it to get it out. He ate the meat, and then all the bones are not, in the moment of notar, a receptacle for notar. All what Rabbi Yitzchak said is when the bone is attached to the meat that is after its expiry date, then it becomes part of the notar, then it's assumed. But here, these bones, we can assume that the guy broke it when it was not notar, when it was not left over, it was not expired. Because that's a normal thing to do. You want to eat it, so break the bone, get it out. So you don't need to go ahead and check all the bones, because that's probably what happens. That's what it's saying over here.
So you're saying they're empty.
They're empty. Probably the top ones are empty. Probably everything's empty because probably they broke it when they were allowed to break it, and that's why these bones don't need to be burned. You know why they don't need to be burned? Because they never had a moment when Rabbi Yitzchak is saying yes, according to me, that it becomes a conduit and receptacle. It becomes the package. It becomes the box for it. So it becomes like notar. That's why you don't need to break them, because these never became notar.
If there's no meat on them?
Yeah, that's it's like the klipa.
Exactly, it's like you take a fruit, you throw away the klipa. It never became notar. There's no meat inside. But the pest,
because it's Pesach bones.
because we just said in the Mishnah that we're talking about two different types of korbanot. We're talking about a regular korbanot and korban pesach.
You said it's both.
Yes, you have one pile over here of regular bones of shlamim, of whatever you want.
Yeah.
Here you have another pile of bones of korban pesach. These you don't throw them in the fire. These you throw in the fire. What do we say over here? Very good. What's the logic? Against Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak, you say the bone becomes part of the meat. I prove it to you. It's not true.
Against Rabbi Yitzchak.
No, that's what we thought at the beginning. We thought this is a kushan Rabbi Yitzchak because they become part of the meat. Yeah. So that's why these ones, you see that it's not part of the meat. Just these you can break them and take on the meat. These you can break them, throw them in fire. But it has nothing to do with becoming receptacle, becoming notar. Answers Rabbi Yitzchak, no. What are we talking about over here? That's not a standard case. Here's a pile and here's a pile. The top ones we see they're all broken and they're empty. Yeah. Here they're broken and they're empty. Yeah. So what do you assume? Since these are broken and empty on top, the whole pile is broken and it's empty. Yeah. And if it's broken and it's empty, that means it never became notar. Because these you're allowed to break them when it is the time of eating them. Right. So, and when you want to get your dollar's worth for your meat, you're going to break the bone to take the meat out. Right. These, what's the halacha? Pesach, the yeshban mishum shvirat etzim. And here we're going like Shitat Rabbi Yitzchak, that you're not allowed to break them ever. Now the guy broke them. The guy broke the top bones. He either broke them on Pesach or broke them after Pesach. We don't know he broke them, but it's always asur. So here we're going to say libatar dinavun notar, who did a chadsienu ve'avu le'shimush notar. Probably he broke them before, but we have to be machmi over here.
So what do we do with the bones?
And we throw the bones in the fire because they were at one point a receptacle for the notar. Ubao sreifa, and they became sreifa. So that means here we're assuming the top bones. We're assuming all these bones. It's true the guy broke the bones on the top, but when did he break them? He could either break them before on Pesach or after Pesach, and it's all asur. So there's no way we're going to say more this or more. The guy did it in asur. So when did he do it? He probably did it. He broke them after Pesach. And once you break them after Pesach, they became notar. So that's why you need to take all of these and throw them in the fire. Because the deduction will be that the guy broke them after Pesach, and now all these bones were a receptacle for the notar after Pesach, meaning after Pesach, after the first day of Pesach, and now they're receptacles, so therefore this is not a challenge on Rabbi Yitzchak. That's how we answer.
What if they were broken before Pesach?
And there's no problem, it's not notar, because everybody agrees it's not notar, because it only becomes notar. No, you will not have to burn it. Bones you do not need to burn. You only need to burn bones when they become notar, seemingly.
So if he broke it before Pesach, he ate the meat, the bones.
Again, notar you need to burn, yes. Notar, extra meat you need to burn. But bones but bones, what are they? So Rabbi Yitzchak says a chidush. Once it becomes after the expiry date, not only the meat is notar, even the bone is notar. And that's why he has a chiduk in this baita. These ones you will break them before, because you're allowed to. These you're not allowed to, and he probably broke them after. And if he probably broke them after, what is the halacha? So now they were for some point they were a receptacle for the notar, and now they are all one big notar. You got to burn all the bones. Rav Zavid Amar Acha b'ma'askinan kigon shimatzaan. I'm sorry. That what I just told you is you found them broken and empty. Sorry. I told you a pile. That was the next Gemara mistake. Here you find the pile broken. They're empty. they're all broken and empty. Here they're all broken and empty. And now our svara goes like this. When you find them broken and empty, when did he break them? He broke them on Pesach. Because he's broke them during the time he's allowed to eat them. I need to repeat it one more time, forgive me. I just mixed up the two in what I was saying by memory. Rabbi Yitzchak says, everybody agrees, I have this meat, any korban you want. After the allotted time, I gotta burn it, it's called notar. Good? Everybody agrees that that meat becomes tameh when I touch it. I become tameh when I touch it because Chachamim didn't want you to leave over meat of a korban. The receptacle, which is the bone, on Pesach it's nothing. But after Pesach or after the time of the Shlamim, does it become like notar, and if you touch it become tameh? There's an opinion like that. Rabbi Yitzchak says that. Kushya on you, Rabbi Yitzchak. We have bones all here, all broken, empty.
But that doesn't work because you can always be tameh. There's a new way. No one eats bones, so bones will always be left over the next day.
But bones will only become tameh if there's meat inside.
But there's always meat inside.
Not always. If I ate it out, that's why we have over
if you
here.
ate it, but we say you can't break it.
For Korban Pesach. Now look, you have a kush on you. We have a pile of bones over here, broken and empty. A pile of bones over here, broken and empty. These are regular korbanot. These are Korban Pesach. We don't know yet that they're broken and empty. When the Braita says that the Braita just says bones and bones, we're assuming they're full. Here there's bones that are full and open. There's bones that are full, and here there's bones that are full. Okay? It seems to be. This you got to throw in the fire, the Pesach. This you don't go in the fire, the regular korbanot. What is our assumption at this point? This proves Rabbi Yitzchak. Because you see that here I'm allowed to break them, take out the meat and throw the meat in the fire, not the bones. This I need to fire and throw in the fire because I can't break the bone. Because we go like Rabbi Yaakov, they can't break the bone. That seems to be disproving Rabbi Yitzchak. Again, why is it disproving Rabbi Yitzchak? Because these I'm allowed to break and take out the meat, seemingly. These I'm not allowed to break and take out the meat. Why not? Because he can't break the bone, nothing to do with the receptacle. The receptacle is not tameh. That's what we thought to ask a question. Answer, no. We're talking about broken bones, they're empty. These are empty and these are empty. These you don't go to throw in the fire, and these you're going to throw. Really, the bones after the allotted time are notar, and you got to throw in the fire. But our assumption will allow us to think these are broken, and we broke them when you were allowed to eat them, because you're allowed to break the bones. When you're eating a shlamim, you're allowed to break the bone, take it and take the meat out and eat it, take them one. And these, you're not allowed to break them on Pesach, so you broke them after Pesach. So if you broke them after Pesach, then you broke them when they were already a status of notar. You broke them when they're status of notar. That's why the guy did it. He shouldn't. He did it. He's allowed to break them after, but they were notar at that moment. That's why you got to throw even the bones inside the fire. Yes.
So the shlamim bones, if they become notar, you're allowed to break them and just to take the meat and to throw the meat.
According to Rabbi Yitzchak, you're not allowed to. According to the other opinions, because once it becomes notar, the bone becomes like notar. We're asking, is this a kusha on Rabbi Yitzchak? Is this a kusha? We thought it's a kusha because these you need to throw in, these you don't need to throw in. Answer, it's not a kusha.
Right.
And the reason not a kusha because they're broken. And these, our assumption will last that these were broken when they were allowed to be broken. And they never became notar. These were broken after and they became notar. Rav Zabi Damar,
it's not Korban Pesach. You said only Korban Pesach become notar.
Everything becomes notar.
Everything?
Yes. Every korban, after it's a lot of time, whether it's 1 or 2 days, becomes notar. The Gemara says at the bottom of the page, Amar Rav Zavid Amar, Acha b'maskinan shmatzaan tziburin tziburin. This is what I meant to say before. We found them piles of bones. Umehen chalutzin atzamot. And on the top there are broken ones. So now we're looking at the top. These top ones are broken and the meat is out. These top ones are broken and the meat is out. What do? Kodshim den b'hem mishum shvirat etzem. Nekulu hava nechalutznu v'achinu. So we're assuming by looking at the top one, the guy broke them, he took out the meat, and probably all the rest he broke them and took out meat. When? When they were still allowed to be eaten, therefore they never became nitar. V'lo ba'isrefa. Atzmot pesach, v'yesh mishum shvirat ha'etzem. Din mahane dir chalitzenu nanach lo chalitzenu ba'isrefa. The top ones are broken, but actually according to this opinion, Rabbi Yaakov, you're never allowed to break the bones. So the guy broke the bones. We don't know if he broke them before Pesach or after, during Pesach or after Pesach. Either way, it's always asur. So he broke them and he took out the meat. Now we can only assume that for the top ones. Why would he have done that on all the other ones? There's like 100 bones over here from 100 families. So the first guy was the Shmerel, he made a mistake, he broke the bones, he took out the meat. But the other guys, we don't know what they did. So therefore, that's why we have to throw them inside the fire. So therefore, we have to throw this. So here again, this could well have become notar after Pesach, and this did not become notar after Pesach because obviously the person broke them when he was allowed to break them. These you're never allowed to break them, and therefore they're all notar. That's why you got to throw all the bones inside the fire.
Just because we don't know if it was from before or from after they become notar, we have to throw the whole pile, even the broken ones, into the fire.
Not the broken ones. Yes, even the broken ones. Yes, that's right. Okay, so far so good. Amar Yehuda. Amar Rav Kona Gidin Basar. Okay, now we're speaking about a whole other halacha, and we're talking about the meat. Now, don't forget, when you're coming now to be signed up, the veins, yes, but it's really talking about meat. But anytime you're going to come now to Korban Pesach, and you will be signed up for the Korban Pesach, you got to be signed up at least for kazait of meat, correct? What about veins? Are veins considered meat to be able to allow to be signed up for the meat of the Korban Pesach? Or is it when you sign up and there's not enough meat? There's veins, so you can get the veins. Says Amar Yehuda Marav Kona Gidin Basar Chutz Migidei Tzavar. All veins are meat except for veins of the neck. Veins of the necks are not, and the reason is because they are very hard and very hard to eat. They're very thick, but all the other veins are edible veins. Okay. So what are we saying now? What halakha are we interested? When you sign up and you sign up for veins, are you considered signed up? Yes, you are, according to Rabbi Yehuda, except, in the name of Rav, except the veins of the neck. The Gemara doesn't like that. Tnan, hatzamot v'agidin v'anotar yisirfu. Let's go back to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said, you burn veins, you burn bones, and you burn notar, leftover meat. Betet zayin. Hani gidin, echidami. What veins are we talking about? Inema gide basar. Well, if it's veins that you're telling me to burn on the 16th, or they burn veins of the legs and all that, why are you burning them? Eat them. Why are you burning them? V'idi tutar hainu notar. And if they're left over and you're considering it meat, well, they're meat, so they're just called notar. Why would you have to give a third category? It seems like our category is you will definitely be burning these veins, and that's why they're separate from the notar. That means that sounds like they're not meat. Because if they're meat, eat them. And if you didn't eat them, we'll burn them and they're notar. Well, why you give me an extra category of gidin? At apshita gidit sava, we're talking about the gidim of the neck. Iyamart bishlama. Now, if you say basar ninhu, if you say the veins of the neck are in fact meat, amtulachi by srefa. Now we understand why you need to burn them. And why will we sing them out? Because they're meat technically, but they're inedible. So you will for sure be burning them, just know from the moment you start.
It's like eating skin.
Nobody's going to eat. But according to you, Rav, that they're not meat, why would you need to burn them? They are nothing.
That's the problem, because it means that everybody's going to be in metamil the next day. Because every animal has veins in their neck, so everybody's going to have to be...
Oh, that's another question that Gemara is not asking, but that's a very good question. According to you, if it is meat and you can't eat them, so everybody's going to be tameh, even if they weren't lazy.
Yeah.
Good question. And very good question. The Gemara says, so Rav Chizda answers a different question. We're talking not about the veins of the neck. The veins of the neck are not food, and it's actually answering your question. They're not food, and that's why you don't get tameh. What gid are we talking about here? That every gid is food, is meat, except for one gid. We didn't say, who said which one it was? Oh, sorry. When our Mishnah says, that remains true. The ones of the neck are not food. And what is the one that Mishnah says you will be burning it because it is food, but you're not allowed to eat it? That's the Gida Nasheh. Varibadi Rabbi Yehuda. This is following Shitat Rabbi Yehuda. Detanya. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, En Noheg Ara Bechat. Now Rabbi Yehuda in Masechet Chunin said, when Gida Nasheh, the Torah says it's forbidden, how many Gidin are there? There are two Gidin. One in the right leg and one in the left leg. Rabbi Yehuda says it's only one of the two. That's what Rabbi Yehuda said. The Gemara in Masechet Churin was unsure what Rabbi Yehuda meant. Did Rabbi Yehuda mean one of the two and we know which one it is, the right one, because he said the right one? Or does it make sense that if one of the two is asur, it's the right one, but it's really a suffix, and therefore you cannot eat both? Nafkamina. When you shech your animal, when you take off the gidin nasheh, which you can't eat, the left one, are you allowed to eat it? Because you're sure that the only one asur is the right one, Rabbi Yehuda, or we think it's the right one, but besafik, because of uncertainty, we can't eat also the left one. So that was that was our question over there.
The second one, I think.
Huh? Yes, the halakha is it's the second one. Now here, if you're telling me that our Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda said that all meat is meat except for the neck. That means that when our Mishnah, that all veins are meat except the veins in the neck. That means when our Mishnah said you will burn the gid, that means it is meat and you can't eat it.
Rabbi, it's not veins, it's nerves.
Nerves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better, well put. So all thing we're speaking about now was nerves and not veins. But they're pretty much the same, right? It's like long.
No. Veins are conducting. They're moving.
Liquid, blood.
Liquid, and nerves are transmitting like energy to move, and it's like it's how your spine talks.
Okay,
to
I'm just saying in the form and the shape of what they look, they're long vein, they're like long thing
Yes,
extend.
yes.
Okay, that's what I mean. So these are called what do you call them? What do you call them? Not veins. You call them
Nerves.
Nerves. Okay, we're talking about nerves over here. So now, vadat machat shel yamin, like we just said, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, it makes sense to say the right one. Velativ shot this sapu kimisapkele. Now, from here, we could almost actually answer Rabbi Yehuda's answer. We can answer the question of Rabbi Yehuda, which was a big question in Masechet Chulin, that we actually, from here, the way it's said is we know that Rabbi Yehuda was actually uncertain. The Rabbi Yehuda. Di'im ifshat pshita hahu de teira nichle udisura nishteye lama nisrefa. So actually, it would work out very good over here. So, we're saying over here that our Mishnah says one of them you gotta burn. What do you gotta burn? Let's try to figure it out. If you are sure that the left one is good, so then eat the left one, and the other one you don't even need to burn it because it's not meat. You only need to burn leftover meat. The fact that you're telling me to burn the leftover gid and asher, it means you're uncertain. Both of them were uncertain. One is meat, one is not meat. You can't eat them, and therefore you're going to burn them because they're actually one is meat. So from here, the Gemara doesn't understand why there is a suffix in Masechet Chulin on this question. One more time. Rabbi Yehuda said that only one gid is asr, not two gidim. There the Gemara said that Rabbi Yehuda said the right one. And there was a machloket. Is it for sure the right one or probably the right one? There the Gemara was uncertain. What we just said over here should actually give a certainty to it to prove to us that actually the answer is we are uncertain. Why? Because we just said, Rav said that a gid is meat except the gid of the neck. Gid of the neck is nothing, throw it in the garbage. When you shech your korban pesach, you don't need to burn it. You only need to burn something that is meat that expired meat after the next morning. However, here we're saying that the gid you gotta burn it. Which gid do you have to burn? Well, it must be that we're talking about we're uncertain if which gid is asr. That's why you need to burn it. Because if it was certain that the right one is a gid and the left one is really natural meat, so the left one, throw it out. You don't need to burn it because it's not meat. The right one, throw it out. I'm sorry. The right one is asr. Throw it out because you're not allowed to eat. It's not meat. And the second one is meat, and and you're allowed to go ahead and eat it. So therefore, the fact that our Mishnah is telling us burn, it means that we don't know which one is the meat and which one is the not meat. One is not meat and one is meat, and we got to burn both of them. So why did the Gemara in Masechet Chulin have an uncertainty over here? Actually, no, we could say that really very possible. We don't have an answer from this Mishnah because maybe this Mishnah is talking about where really we knew both of them. We knew the right one and we knew the left one. We knew the right one is non-kosher, the left one is kosher, and they got mixed up. That's why you got to burn them. But really, this is not a proof that we're uncertain. Maybe this is a proof that we are certain. Rav Ashi amar lo nitzchara lishmano de gid, and Rav Ashi says a whole nother pshat. We're talking about here the fat of the meat, the fat of the gid. In other words, the gid definitely. We could go and say that the right one is asr, the left one is mutter. You can actually go ahead and eat the left one, but the right one that we're talking about that you gotta burn it is not the gid itself, it's the fat of the gid. The fat of the gid is not a gid, it's allowed to eat. But Chachamim put exirah de Rabbanan that you can't eat it. So we know exactly what it is. We know it's technically meat. That's why you can't throw it in the garbage. But Chachamim put exirah on it. That's why we gotta burn it. So when we're saying that we're not burning the gid. The gid is straight to the garbage. The left gid you're allowed to eat. Maybe this is what it means. And the fat is what we're throwing in the fire because the fat technically is meat, which becomes nutar, but you can't eat it, and that's why we don't eat it. The Tanya, and how do we know this? Where do we have a braita? Shmano mutar v'Yisrael kedoshim en v'noagim bo isu. We have a braita that says that the shemen, that the fat is mutar, the shemen is mutter, and the Jews are holy, and therefore they throw out the shmano mutar, and Yisrael kedushim, and we do not eat it. Ravina mar bechitzon, and Ravina says a whole other pshat over here. There's another derabanan. There are two gids actually. There's an exterior one and an interior one. There's more inside the thigh, and there's more outside the thigh. Kidirabi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Bet gidini pnimi asamuch le'etzem asur. The inner one, which is more in the thigh, of course, that is more close to the bone, that is the real Asur Torah one. V'chayvin anav, and it's chayav Torah. Hasamuch labasar, the one on the outer part of the thigh, which is more towards the skin, the meat, which is still a vein over there, which is still a nerve over there. It is asur dirabanan ven hayvin anav. And you're not chayav alet makot if you ate it. So what are we talking now, our Mishnah, according to this? The way we would answer it, that we know which gid is asur and which gid is mutter. The right one is asur, maybe. The left one is mutter. Go ahead and eat it. The right one, throw it in the garbage. When the Torah said you got to burn it, it's which gid? It's a gid which is an exterior gid, which is really Torah-dik allowed to eat. But Chachamim put a gzera de Rabbanan on it. It's too close to it, and that's the one you're throwing in the fire. Why are you throwing in the fire? Because in fact it is notar, because it's really meat. Just there's a gzera de Rabbanan not to eat it. So we're going smooth sailing over here. It's not quick, and we have to catch up a little bit. Let's do a little more. Chantet zayin v'amai. So we do not burn them on Yom Tov. Don't forget. Have a good Dishmun. Do not forget that we're shechting on the 14th of Pesach, on the 14th of Nisan, correct? And when do we burn them? We don't burn them on Pesach the 15th. We wait to the 16th Yom Chol to burn them. Why not? The Gemara asks. V'amai niti aseh v'itche lo taseh. There's a mitzvah lo taseh of doing melachan Yom Tov, but there's a mitzvah aseh, a positive commandment to burn the notar. So why not push off the lo taseh? Many times we do that. You have a mitzvah aseh and a lo taseh. For example, Brit Milah is a mitzvah taseh. Shabbat is a mitzvah lo taseh. You're allowed to do the Brit Milah on Shabbat. Well, there's a pasuk that tells you why, but here we have there maybe it's more because it's Shabbos and Sikar, but let's say a lo taseh and a taseh. Really the aseh, the positive, should push off the lo taseh. The Gemara says, Amar Cheskia bekem de Tanit becheskia, Amakra, lo totiru mimenu ad boker. Do not leave over the meat of any korban till the morning, or korban Pesach. Vanotar mimenu ad boker ba'esh tisrevu. And anything that was left over ad boker, burn in the fire. You didn't notice over there that there's a redundant word? Don't leave it to the morning. Anything left to the morning, burn it. You already told me to the morning. What is that second? Shen tamunomar ad boker. Ma tamunomar ad boker. Why does it say twice ad boker? Niten lo boker sheni nisrefato. To tell you that the second boker is we don't burn it on the day of. Really, according to the rule you just told me, that the lo taseh is pushed off by the aseh. We should burn the notar the day of. What is the day of? You shecht on the 14th. It's a whole day. You eat it at the 15th at night. At the 15th in the morning, it's notar. Burn it then. But it's Yom Tov. It's a suit to burn things on Yom Tov. Yeah, but you have a mitzvah to burn it. So the mitzvah, the positive burning, should push off the negative of not doing melachan Yom Tov. Answers, in the language of the Torah, it told you to burn it the second day, which is the 16th, because it says twice ad boker. So far, so good? That's one answer. Abaye amar makra, olat Shabbat b'Shabbato. When speaking about oila, it speaks you bring the oila of Shabbos on Shabbos. Velo olat chon b'Shabbat. You cannot bring a weekday korban on Shabbos. Velo olat chon b'Yom Tov. You cannot bring a weekday korban on Yom Tov. If you can't bring a weekday korban on Yom Tov, also you cannot burn over the leftovers a weekday korban on Yom Tov. Our leftover day was let's say it was the 14th. It was a whole day. You're going to burn it on the 15th today, which is Yom Tov. You're not allowed. One more answer. Rabba Makra, Hu levado yaseh lachem. Hu velo machshiro. The pasuk when speaking about cooking on Yom Tov, it says Hu levado. It doesn't say Hu yaseh lachem. You can cook. It says Hu levado. That levado, Hu levado. Hu levado is 2 meals. Cook on Yom Tov. The pasuk says. Let's read the pasuk together in Gimel and Torah O. Torah says, Lo tishrat, Torah says, Yom Rishon Merkodesh. Kon melcha no yaseh, ach asher yucha mikol nefesh. Yaseh, it should say Yaseh Lechem. Pasuk Gimel and Torah Or. It says in the middle pasuk that you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov. What do we know? It says, ach asher ye'acher lekol nefesh. Anything you want to eat, you're allowed to do. Then it says, Hu levado Yaseh Lechem. There's two words that are mi'ut. There are two limitations there. Hu and levado. It doesn't say the kol nefesh yaserechem. It says hu kol nefesh hu levado yaserechem. Hu, you can only do it and not the machshirim. For example, if you need a little spick, shipud. How do you say shipud?
Brochette.
A brochette.
Spit.
A spit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I go ahead and use fire
A
to
skewer.
Skewer.
a skewer?
Spit is really big.
Yes.
Yes.
And skewer is small. Okay, I need a skewer I need a spit to roast my food. I'm allowed to cook on Yom Tov, so maybe I'm allowed to take metal and I'm allowed to make it as well. It's part of the cooking, you know all that. Hu levado. You can't do the machshire ochel nefesh.
Spit, you're right.
You cannot do the machshire. You cannot do something which is needed for cooking. You can only cook. That's one thing. Velo levado velo mina shelo bizmana haba'a mikal v'chomer. And you cannot also do mila that's not bizmano on Shabbos. I'll explain. Shabbos, the 8th day, is pushing off Yom Tov. The 8th day is pushing off Yom Tov, pushing off Shabbos. But if it's a bris milah that's not on the day of, we don't push off. What would? Huh?
It's already
What would? Now there's a svara that you should push it off. And here's the svara. It's a three-way svara. We know that Shabbat is pushed off for the avodah of the Beit Mikdash. You know that? The avodah of the Beit Mikdash is pushed off for Shabbos. Meaning, we push away Shabbos and we do it. We bring a korban. And we also know that the avodah of the Beit Mikdash is pushed off for tzarat. If you have tzarat, you don't do the avodah of the Beit Mikdash. So if a guy is a tzara, he's a mitzorah, you can't work in the Beit Mikdash. So it's stronger than the avodah, and the avodah is stronger than Shabbos. Guess what? The Brit Milah pushes off tzarat. If a baby has tzarat, you cut off the wart, you cut off the tzarat, and you do the Brit Milah. So Brit Milah pushes off tzarat, for sure it's going to push off Shabbos. Because tzarat pushes off everything. It pushes off Beit Mikdash. So you might have thought that I do the Brit Milah even on the day of, it's a late bris milah, for example, a convert or a person who never did a bris milah, or a baby that was sick and did bris milah. We do it even on the other. We don't do it. From here we see, why do we not do it? Because you could do it tomorrow. Since you could do it tomorrow, don't do it today. That's the svar. When you miss day, there's a mitzvah of the 8th day. Now, day 10, 12, 100, and 1,000 is not a mitzvah of that day. It's a mitzvah to get a bris. So you can't, don't do it today. Do it tomorrow. Same thing with the Korban Pesach, with the burning the fats, burning the notav. You could, it's a mitzvah to burn, but it doesn't need to be today. It could be done tomorrow. From here we learn that we don't burn it on the Yom Tov itself. One more answer, Rav Ashi Amar, Shabbaton. The pasuk says, Shabbat Shabbaton. Yom Tov says that it's called Shivat Yamim Bayom HaRishon Shabbaton Bayom HaShmini Shabbaton. So when it comes to Sukkot, it's called Shabbaton. It's not only called Lo Taseh. It's not like a Lo Taseh, just don't do melacha. It's a positive mitzvah of resting from melacha. So now what do we have? We have Ve'en Aseh Ve'hu Ve'en Aseh Dochen Lo Taseh Ve'aseh. Turns out now that burning the leftover meats is a one Aseh. But Yom Tov is a Lo Taseh and an Aseh together. So it's true that a regular aseh, positive, will push over a negative, but here it's a lota aseh and an aseh. Yom Tov is a positive and a negative, so a regular positive will not push over a double positive and negative. Mishnah says, Kona nichan b'shor hagadol yacher begedi arach uberash knafayim v'sachu sim. Now we're talking about being appointed for the Korban Pesach. There needs to be meat that you're allowed to eat. What is meat? Well, guess what? You know that animals, when they're young, certain parts are edible. When they get older, they're not edible anymore. They become hard and you can't eat them anymore. So anything in an adult animal that would be edible is edible and counts for the Korban Pesach of the young lamb. When you're signing up for a young lamb of Korban Pesach, you need to be signed up for an edible piece of kazait. What is an edible piece of kazait that allows you to be part of it? We only have 50 kazaitim over here. Why? There's 57. No, those are edible today, but in 2 years, they wouldn't be edible anymore. So we don't let you be counted on the Korban Pesach with those pieces. Anything that is edible in the adult will allow you to be counted for the child. The chiddush is once you're counted for yours and you're a little bit extra hungry, you can eat that piece as well. There's no problem to eat that piece. The problem is to be yoitze, to be counted for the Korban Pesach on it.
The animal when it becomes older, it's bigger. No?
Yes. But those parts, on as they are today on the child, don't count for the Korban Pesach. To be Yotzir mitzvah, to be counted for the mitzvah. Now, there's two other things that you're allowed to eat.
It's going to be more because it's after.
Yes, but it's never going to get there. The Korban Pesach is a child. It's a young.
Yeah, I know, but we're basing it off of.
Yeah,
You can eat those 7 now. The 7 extra.
Those so extra, you could eat them now. And it's true that when the sheep will become bigger, there's going to be an extra 30. But we don't care that. We look at what is. It seems to be that they're just better pieces. A piece that is edible forever seems to be always a better piece. What's going to get hard and rock solid later, it's not really edible. It's true you can eat it now, but maybe the pshat is just not as good. I'm not sure. But either way, we look at today based on the future, but still today. And there's an exception to that. Rashe knafayim, at the top of the shoulders, there's like sort of like cartilage over there, like a bone that's edible. That's edible through really. You got to really soak them. You got to boil them in hot water for a long time. They come edible, but they're really hard at the beginning. And they're edible. You're allowed to eat them on the child as well. Ve'asar hachusim, which are basically like the Rashi says like the ears and the tinoch ha'ozen and certain parts of the chest, the ribs. The ribs on the child, you're allowed to eat them. The ears, you're allowed to eat them as well. They're allowed to be counted for the Korban Pesach. Interesting, yeah? Rabba, now that's what our Mishnah says. Now the problem with the Mishnah says like this: Rabba Rami, Tnan Kona Nechal B'Shor Gadol, Yochad B'Gidi Arach. Whatever is edible for an adult, you can eat it in the child. B'Sheno Nechal, no. But now we understand what's not edible in an adult, you can't eat it as a child. Ema Sefer, look at the Mishnah at the end. It says Rashek Knafayim, those shoulders, V'Asar Chuchim, the ears, then the ribs. You can't eat them when they're adults. Why the yoitze when it's a child? Ela tanai. Actually, it's a machloket tanai. Anything that is edible when it's adult, you can eat it when it's child. And one opinion says, and if it's not, no, you can't eat it. And they will say you can't eat the ears. But some say you can eat those as well. Why? Because since they're technically edible in adult, by boiling them for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, I don't know how long it takes, you're going to make them soft. So since you could eat them, so you're allowed to eat them now also. First opinion doesn't say like that. Second opinion says like that. This is what we're finishing in 1 minute. I need 1 more minute. Really, it's 1 more minute, 2 more lines. And that is, who just said this? The Gemara answered on Rabbah. Again, our Mishnah says, whatever's edible when it's adult, you can eat it when it's child, and you can also eat the ears and the ribs. 1 second, isn't that contradiction? Because you can't eat the ribs. Answer is yes, it's contradiction, and there's 2 opinions in our Mishnah. One opinion is that you can't eat the ears and the ribs, and one opinion is you can eat the ears and the ribs. Second opinion is says you can. You can eat only the ears and the ribs. Why? Because they're technically edible in an adult, because you could overcook them to get them edible, so you can eat them now. And the first opinion says no. Only what you can eat easily in an adult, you can eat as a child. But not what you cannot eat through a thought of cooking. And Rav Amar Mahen Katane, B'Achi Katane. And according to Rav, there's no machloket. It's actually the beginning is explaining this. The second part is explaining the first part. Whatever could be eaten. According to the second opinion, there's no machloket. And really, the whole Mishnah is this is what it means. Whatever you could eat in an adult, even by cooking it, overcooking, was called shalka. Yochad begedi. You can eat as a child, and the child then it's rach. Bitzli, just by roasting it. Mahen, Rashek Nafayim, Misachuchim. Tani Kibide Rava, and the Braita follows Rava. Kon Echad B'Shor Gadol, B'Shalka, Yochad Begedi Arach. And you can eat an adult by cooking it, overcooking it. You can eat in the child by just by roasting it. Mahen, Rashek Nafayim, Misachuchim, Gidin, also the not the veins, the nerves you said. Harakim, the soft ones, nidonin ke-basar. They are basar. 1 more time, just to review that. Our Mishnah says, whatever you can eat in an adult, you can eat in a child. You can also eat the ears and the ribs, etc. That seems to be a machloket. One way of looking at it's a machloket. One opinion says you cannot eat the ears, and one opinion says you can eat the ears. What's the svara to say you can eat the ears? Because they're technically edible by an adult. And the other way of learning, which is the shita the Rava, is that actually the Mishnah is actually all one opinion. And when it says you can only eat something on a child that can be eaten by adult, meaning if you can technically eat it by adult by overcooking it, you can eat it by child simply by roasting it. And that is the opinion of Rava. And we have a braita to that effect. Chazak u baruch.